your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com, broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 20 or 30 minutes, and it is a Friday, and it is a football Friday. At that, we will be going around the National Football League to make sure you have the most up-to-date information as we trek through training camp 2025. We are just 30 days away from our first actual National Football League game. And I'm sure you're not surprised by this, but injuries are flooding training camp right now, and some a little bit more important than others. We continue 32 teams in 32 days with the New Orleans Saints. They will be our 10th team that we will be breaking down on the road to opening day 2025. The Saints, a lot of changes this offseason. They are a part of our NFC South breakdown. If you missed any of that, go to the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and just get that episode. And then we finish with something we haven't done in a little bit because there hasn't been a lot to watch, but we got some stuff today. So we will be doing a little bit of a what you watching for the people. I don't know what sounder that is, so we'll have to find that one. And then we can get the what you watching sounder back on. So stick with us the entire time. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok. You know the drill. YouTube.com/12OZ Sports. You can comment live on YouTube, and we can get that on the show. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, just be sure wherever you go to hit that like or subscribe button or follow, depending on the social media site, so you can get every Rome Show that you want and daily at 7 a.m. All right, let's cue the music here and let's get started with our 32 teams in 32 days. And we will go with the New Orleans Saints. Tells you everything you need to know about what time of year it is. If you hear this song or like two other jingles from August through February 1st, you know exactly what you're getting ready for. It is the National Football League. Just to give you a little bit of backstory here, for the last 2 weeks, we started to break down a singular team each day in the National Football League so we can kind of get you ready for the season, whether that's your pure fanship, the bananas that you want to put down, or anything else that you're involved in, maybe a survivor pool that maybe we can give you some insight into what each team is going to be like. So today we continue in the NFC South with the New Orleans Saints. So let's get in it. The Saints going through a lot of changes during the 2025 season. Not only did they hire new and first-time head coach Kellen Moore, who's hopefully supposed to come in, reset this offense, give it an invigorated look, and hopefully spark something. Not only did they lose gained a new head coach in Kellen Moore, they gained a new offense from Brandon Staley in the 3-4, and they lost their what they believed was franchise starting quarterback in Derek Carr, who decided to unabruptly retire in May. So there's a few questions you have to answer when talking about the New Orleans Saints, okay? And for some backside on this thing, they were 5-12 last year, and they were the worst team in the NFC South. And depending on the day, you might have considered them the worst team in the NFC. see. And what's wild is if you go back to week number 2 of the 2024 season, I think the New Orleans Saints were 2-0. I think they were 2-0, and I think they were 2-0 outscoring their opponents by like 20 plus points or something crazy like that. I'll have to look. But to start the year last year, this team came out of the gates hot, and it dwindled quickly, okay? And more so than anything else, it's the quarterback room. Though the team had their franchise quarterback, what they believed was Derek Carr. I never believed he was the guy or the answer, by the way. Just looked it up. They beat the Panthers and the Cowboys to start the year last year and the combined scores of those games was 81-29. After that, they went on to lose 7 straight games, which is how they end up at 5-12. So number one question is, who's your quarterback here? Okay, when you're looking at the depth chart, your number 1 on the depth chart, Spencer Rattler. Your number 2 is second-round pick, 25-year-old from this year, Tyler So. And your third is Jake Haener. The first and the third have played some NFL action, but when you drafted Spencer Rattler last year, or you put Jake Haener on your roster, or even drafting Tyler So in the second round should not give you excitement if you're a Saints fan. Now, I'm not saying that either of these 3 dudes might not figure it out, but you don't have a bona fide guy behind center right now if you're the Saints. So you can't go anywhere without answering that question. That's the first thing. The second thing then becomes, what type of defense are we going to have here? Here are the numbers from the New Orleans Saints in 2024. They were 30th in yards per game at 394.1, 28th in passing yards per game at 238.5, 31st with Alvin Kamara in rushing yards at 141. Excuse me, that was defense. 141.4. And opponents' points per game, 19th at 23.4. They were a bottom 10 defense in the league last year. It doesn't matter who the hell your quarterback is. If you can't stop the other team, there's really nothing the offense can do, which leads me to question number 3. What type of head coach do we got here? Okay, because Kellen Moore is an offensive guy. Kellen Moore is a guy that people have considered an offensive guru here. Somebody that's got a lot of good creativity on offense, gets the most out of his players, okay? Well, what can he do now as the head coach? Because how many times have we seen in the history of the National Football League, hey, this team hired an offensive-minded head coach because they want to get the quarterback right, or they want to get the offense right, or this offense has been sputtering. And then you look at the defense and you're like, oh, wait, we need them to be good too, because it doesn't matter how good our offense is. If the defense is bad, it doesn't matter, i.e. the Arizona Cardinals. Go to the Rome Show podcast or ever listen to podcasts to get that breakdown. But that was the main reason why it's hard to have excitement in the Cardinals, because it feels like they've had a good offense all the time, but never a good defense. The Saints are in that world right now. What can Kellen Moore do as the head coach? If you don't have a quarterback and you got a first-year head coach, to me, that's a recipe for disaster. However, I do believe in Kellen Moore as a head coach. I don't know if I believe in the quarterback's room, though. So if that question of how good your defense going to be isn't answered, it's going to be a really long season for the New Orleans Saints. They added some veteran help at safety in Justin Reed. They got a rookie in Jonas Sanker. Okay, they added some outside linebacker help. They tried to add the pieces. The question just becomes, will they come together? And no one really knows. So those are the 3 things you're looking at for the New Orleans Saints. What do I think is going to happen? I think Spencer Rattler is going to play 65 to 70% of the snaps. I don't even know if he's going to get benched because he's not good, or if he's going to get benched just because the franchise probably won't make the playoffs this year. Even though I think they'll get a little bit better, I don't think they're going to make the postseason this year. And at that point, it's like, why not just play the second round guy in Tyler So? Though he's 25 years old, we did draft him in the second round, and I think we're going to go in this direction. I don't know, but I think Spencer Rattler plays 65 to 75% of the snaps, good, bad, or indifferent, and I think this team improves by 1 win to 6-11 to finish with Derek Carr, a little bit of Spencer Rattler, and a little bit of Jake Haener last year. This offense was not atrocious, but it wasn't great either. 21st in the league in rushing yards per game. As I mentioned before, with Alvin Kamara, cannot be good, but they had inconsistency on the offensive line. If there's one question mark offensively, it is, will this offensive line stay healthy? 23rd in yards per game, 24th in passing yards per game, and 24th in points per game. So a lot to fix if you're the New Orleans Saints to hopefully have a better 2025 season. And it's a shame too, by the way, okay? Because I actually really like the Spencer Rattler situation. I don't know if anybody remembers this. They came out with a television show. It might have been on Netflix. It was almost like a lot of the documentaries we see now, like quarterback or receiver, where you're following these guys. And it actually followed the best high school quarterbacks. Okay. And Spencer Rattler was one of them. And he originally went to Oklahoma. Okay. I believe he took over for Jalen Hurts. I think he was the quarterback that took over after Jalen Hurts' year. And then Caleb Williams, also at Oklahoma, ended up taking Spencer Rattler's job. Then Spencer Rattler had to transfer to University of South Carolina. But I tell you all that to say this. He was on that show with like Jake Fromm, and they were the dudes like in high school to be recruited. You know how we see the, ESPN number 1 quarterback, number 2 quarterback commits here? That was Spencer Rattler. So for a minute now, people have believed that this kid is going to be really good. There's some good reports coming out of the building, but nonetheless, if I told you you have the Browns quarterback room, or I told you you had the Saints quarterback room, there might be a small part of you that chooses the Browns quarterback room. There might be 6 guys in there, and one of them might be named Joe Flacco, but there's something in that room that says, I know what I'm getting out of these guys. And though I have some rookies in here, that's okay. These 1 or 2 veterans, I know what I'm getting. Good, bad, or different, I know what I'm getting. I think that's the hardest part about the Saints right now. There's so much unknown. There's so much. And we just scratched the surface. We scratched the surface talking about the quarterback room, talking about the new coaching staff, and talking about the defense. But what type of wide receiver room does this team have? Your number 1 wide receiver is Chris Olave. Your number 2 is Rashid Shaheed. Your number 3 is Brandon Cooks. That can't be good. You don't have a great tight end. Okay? So there are a lot of other question marks, but I feel like, as we've learned about the National Football League, if you don't have the question mark answered on the coach and you don't have the question mark answered on the quarterback, a lot of those other things can be really good too. And it's still really difficult to win the big game. See, I've always believed a team can be good with a mediocre quarterback as long as their defense and their offense are really strong. But, and I can hear my dad saying this, you can't win a championship with Alex Smith. You can't win a championship with Geno Smith. I agree with him. You probably can't go to the Super Bowl with those guys. But what you can do is they can be good enough quarterbacks that your team's going to be 10-7, 11-6. Probably good enough to win a playoff game or two because your defense and your offense outside of that singular quarterback player is really good. We've watched Patrick Mahomes be possibly the best quarterback in the league and have a mediocre wide receiving core almost the entire time since Tyreek Hill has left. Okay? It's been a revolving door of who's not Tyreek Hill to go alongside Travis Kelce. Yet, they continue to win. Why? Established coaching staff, established defense, and an offensive consistency on both sides of the ball. Okay? So there's got to be something there. Either you're not going to have a great quarterback, but you better be damn good on defense and offense outside of that position. Or you better have a great quarterback, and you might not have the weapons, but you have a smart enough coaching staff to make up for those deficiencies. Man, the NFL is messed up, man. And, before we go to commercial break, I might as well make it 10 out of 10. For the 10 days we've done 32 teams in 32 days, I have said this point at least one time. To me, it's the trenches. You can talk about good quarterback, really good coaching staff, all those things. And I agree, okay? But the one that I think sits above all of them is the offensive line and the defensive line. There are 8 to 12 players on your team that are going to weigh the most, and they're also going to matter the most. I truly believe that. And as I've always said, if I'm a general manager, I am starting in the trenches, and then I am going from there. We're going to start with a commercial break. Then we are going around the National Football League to give you some of the highlights or lowlights from other teams that we are not breaking down today in training camp, and then a little bit of
What you watching?
the Rome Show. 12 Ounce Sports back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
It's the Rome Show!
Yeah, it's the Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. We broadcast live on YouTube and X. It's Friday. I hope the people are excited for the weekend. The weekend starts for me today. It's our final summer Friday of the year at the old university I work at. So I'll be golfing today with some baseball alumni. Really excited about it. The golf game has been feeling good recently, people. Okay? Really good. Yesterday, I struggled a little bit with the putter. I don't know how anyone else out there feels when you play golf. All right. In general, you're going to get such a variable on each golf course. Like, you know, when you're in the pro, and I'm not a pro, but I can only imagine, there's got to be like a marginal difference between majority of the golf courses you play. Yeah, of course. Some are built differently on a hill, you know, by the water, the wind, traps, links, not links. I just mean in general. Like, if you're to take a 0 to 10 rating on how hard a golf course is, and you're like, I'm a professional, I play in the professional ranks, I think the easiest course to play is probably going to falter around a 3 or a 4, and the hardest one's probably going to falter at like a 10. But when you really look at the type of course it is, there's a marginal difference. Fairways are really nice, you know, the fringe is nice, the greens are really well kept. Well, in public golf, it is not that. Oftentimes, you're playing the course that's got the time you need and is the cheapest option you can find. So the variable of difference between course is so drastic. You might go from a 0 to what feels like a 13 because this course actually maintains it, and this course, And that's such a drastic difference in golf. Here's my example. Played a small 9-hole course over here with my brother-in-law the other day. I was electric. I shot a 38 on a par 36, I think it was, for the 9 holes. Okay. But it's a cheaper course. It's municipal. It's meant for you to get that quick 9 in and move on. Okay. So the greens aren't as taken care of. And, you know, in a lot of ways, the shots are harder because you don't have as much grass to hit off of. But when you get to the greens, it's easy. Smack your ball. It'll never go that far. You're probably maybe 1-2 putting max every time. Well, then You flip it to the next day, you play an 18 on another public course in our county. And it's not the nicest public course in the world. I promise you that. I like it. It's a good course. But it was like you were putting on a brand new paved highway. That's how fast the ball went. And it's funny to think about that, okay? Because if I'm a pro golfer at the highest level, I'm going into each round. And yes, there's a variable difference, but it's manicured. It's good. Okay. When you are a public golfer, not only are you not as good as all those other people, you're dealing with the other variables of maybe not spending as much time warming up, practicing the game, all of the things that you can think of that you think make you not a good golfer. Throw them into that bowl right there. Okay. But the one I think is what we don't think about enough as the amateur golfer is the upkeep of the golf course we're playing and the drastic difference in each golf course that we play that really has a hindrance on how good or bad we are. And I know before anyone blows me up when I put this up on TikTok or Instagram, or if you're listening to the show, before everyone blows me up and goes, oh, that's a really dumb point, Andrew. Every golf course is different. My point is the maintenance. My point is the upkeep. If I play a pro course, I know it's going to be maintained. It's a crapshoot when it's amateur golf. And to be honest with you, it could be the biggest difference in scoring and not scoring because you're hitting now off of not grass, a green that hasn't been cut, people that haven't fixed their divots. This is supposed to be grass, but kind of looks like a mix of concrete and sand. It's interesting. That came to me yesterday. Write us in the Rome Show 1, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, if you got some feelings on that. Let's finish this show going around the Footy Ball League and then giving you a little
What you watching?
Here we go. Starting with the Los Angeles Chargers, who we spoke about the other day, and this player, left tackle Rashawn Slater, was a part of that conversation. He had just signed 12 days ago a 4-year, $113 million extension to stay with the Chargers. However, sadly, looks like we got an update coming on the computer. That's exciting. Make sure we do that after the show. We got this man signed 12 days ago, a huge extension, and now is out for the rest of the season with a ruptured patellar tendon. That really changes things for the Los Angeles Chargers, and super sad for Rashawn Slater, who I know after signing the extension was super excited. We just talked about the trenches, huge hit for the Chargers. We'll see what their move's going to be or who can step up in that role. But at the end of the day, when you lose a key clock to your offensive line, that is not a good start to the season. Let's continue. The Steelers, they're in a stalemate with 4-time All-Pro defensive tackle Cameron Hayward. The veteran, is the 36th highest paid defensive tackle in the National Football League. However, he's not the 36th best defensive tackle in the National Football League. In 2024, he had 8 sacks and 71 tackles. He has 2 years and $14.75 million remaining on his current deal, and has told the Steelers he wants more and is holding out in camp until he gets paid. So essentially not practicing so he doesn't get fined. He is a 15-year veteran, is Cameron Hayward. Then finally, another injury report coming out of camp. This one interesting. Last night, the Indianapolis Colts played a preseason game, and Anthony Richardson, who is competing with Daniel Jones for the starting quarterback job, left the game early after getting blown up on a sack and hurting his finger, the depths of which I do not know. Sometimes in these training camp scenarios, it doesn't really matter, because even if it was just his finger was a little sore in a regular season game, he wouldn't have continued. Today, preseason, somebody possibly competing for a starting quarterback job, you're not going to risk it. So he gets pulled after just making 3 pass attempts on the day. Daniel Jones goes 10 of 21 for 141, no interceptions, no INTs. The other quarterback in that room is former Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard. I am not breaking this game down any further for any of you. I just wanted to let you know, because I have a lot of Giants fans listening, that your former guy, Danny Jones, not only, if you were wondering where the hell he was, he's competing for a starting job in Indianapolis, but let's see if this Anthony Richardson injury gives Daniel Jones the opening. I've always said this, by the way. I believe Daniel Jones will leave the Giants and become a great quarterback somewhere else. Great, relatively, compared to what he was. Not great compared to Joe Montana. Let's just get that out there. Finally,
What you watching?
it's funny that you should ask what I'm watching this weekend. I have 3 things that I'd like to watch. The first stays in the National Football League, and that is Shedeur Sanders starting for the Cleveland Browns. He's going to get his first start in the National Football League. There's been so much stuff going on around Shedeur being drafted, around the Cleveland Browns quarterback room. The fact that they have 5 quarterbacks on roster and almost needed a 6th because of injuries during training camp. Shedeur Sanders has an opportunity here. Despite what you think of him, despite what you think of the Browns, despite how you think this situation's been handled, the bottom line is he has a chance to play in the National Football League tonight at 7 p.m. And he's got to take advantage of that. I'm curious to see what it looks like. That's the first thing I am watching.
What you watching?
I'm going to watch some baseball this weekend as well. The Red Sox are 64-52, and they are trending heavily in the right direction in the AL East. They're now 4 games back of the Blue Jays. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Streaking is not the word. This might just be exactly who they are. They take on the Padres, who are also playing some really good baseball right now. They're 64-51. They're 2 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and also 8-2 in their last 10. There's also some implications in the wild card on this series. This series starts tonight. Check it out. It's going to be a good one. Finally,
What you watching?
oh man, we talked about it yesterday on Rocky's Roundup. Get the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, the Rome Show podcast. Rocky on his Roundup was talking about how he doesn't hate the Mets. He likes the roster. He's just annoyed that they're losing right now. Well, they've lost 4 straight and 9 of their last 10, and they need some victories. However, they are taking on the hottest team in Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers, who are the first team to 70 wins in the MLB. They've won 6 straight and 9 of their last 10. So I will be watching the New York Metropolitans try and get off the schneid this weekend. I'll put the
What you watching?
up on the X today so people can check it out. And again, if you heard it on the show and you're like, yo, this segment's electric, I need to send it to my friend, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcast, or head to youtube.com/12OZ Sports and just hit subscribe. I'm Andrew Romanella. Thank you for tuning in. It was fun to be back for the full week. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you have an electric weekend. And I'll see everybody on Monday at 7 a.m. Until then, it's me, Andrew, saying peace.
Thank you for listening.